Shalom. Shalom. This is part two. So yeah, as I was saying, Satan he even he had hopped on some of the disciples, and Yahweh Shai had said, like, I rebuke you, Satan. You know what I mean? He was, because Satan was on, I believe it was Peter. Salakia. And Salakia, he didn't say rebuke, but he said get thee behind me. But I'm going to get this in Matthew 16:23. And it says, but he turned and said unto Peter, get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of Yahweh, but those that be of men. So he had to tell Peter, like, and he wasn't calling Peter necessarily that. He knew that the spirit that was on Peter was of Satan, the spiritual demon Satan. So he knew from a spiritual aspect what was going on. Just like in this case, when we're going to be persecuted by Esau, Edom, the spiritual they are the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan. So they're going to have, they're gonna be something else. They're gonna show their horns in that time. They're gonna come down with that great wrath, and they're gonna be trying to catch us up. But brothers out there, the Akim, be girded up, keep the faith, So let me see. All right, I got that. All right, I'm going to give you a different account. So Matthew 27:20, and it says, but the chief priests and elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy y'all. The governor asked, hold on, let me go up a little bit. All right, so let's go to verse 11. This is Matthew 27:11. It says, and Yahushua stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, art thou the king of the Jews? Why do you think he asked him this? Because that same tactic that this guy is saying, that he
minimize, rationalize, and project. So those four things, if I socialize the issue first, so let me give you the crime example, and then I'll unpack it into social media. In a crime example, let's say I'm talking to you and you're charged with robbing a store. You took $1,000.
So in Yahushua's case, he's being charged with blasphemy and saying that he's the son of the Heavenly Father, basically saying that he is the king of the Jews. And the thing is the reason why the governor Pilate asked him this was to catch him up in his answer. Because if he said that he was, that would, implement him into basically like a crime. Although he was the king of the Jews, that's the crazy part about it. But he knew, Yahushua knew better. Yahushua knew the law. He knew how what these wicked, elders and high priests and all of them, and even Esau in that time, Pilate and them, like he knew what time of day they was on. He knew that it was his time to be persecuted by these people. So he knew that what he would say would be held against him. Just like when they tell you when you go into court, anything you say could be held, or when they arresting you, anything you say can be held against you in the court of law. And we got a great example of what you should do in that time. And it says Matthew 27:11, and Yahushua stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, art thou the king of the Jews? And Yahushua said unto him, thou sayest. And because Yahushua said unto him, you said it. I mean, you said it. Hey, and when he was accused of the chief priests and elders, he answered nothing, because he knew not to ask them, because they was already ready to give, to make, they was coming to make up things about him. Hold on, do I got that? I got that in. Yeah, right here in Matthew 26, right? So we're gonna go Matthew 26 and 59, right? It says, because they had hired false witnesses to come and say false things against Yahushua, and they couldn't catch them up because they was false, you know. So them trying to you know, the reason why, that's a part of the reason why he didn't answer them, because they was already trying to catch him up on something. Like, it was obvious that these people were jealous and they wanted him, you know, crucified. So this is Matthew 26 and 59, and it says, now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witness against Yahushua to put him to death. So they went and they was looking for somebody to bear false witness against him, which is a sin. Out of the 10 commandments, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. You know, and these people supposed to be the high priest and the chief priests and the elders, and they sitting up here breaking the law. You know what I mean? Trying to get Yahushua to be a person who broke the law, but he wasn't. It's like, man, you can't make this up. But anyway, that's the same spirit that Esau Edom is going to be coming in. So y'all got to be just, you know, girded up and ready for that. But verse 60, it says, but found none. So let me reread it. 59. Now the chief priest and elder and all the council sought false witness against Yahushua to put him to death, but found none. Yeah, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none, because they ain't find nothing against them, because they false witnesses. At the last came 2 false witnesses and said, this fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of Yahweh and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, answerest thou nothing? What is it which what is it which these witness against thee? But Yahushua held his peace. And the reason why he didn't say nothing is because he knew that if he was to say this was all they needed to just, you know, fly off the handle. But Yahushua held his peace, and the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living power that thou tell us whether thou be the Mashiach, the son of Yahweh. Yahushua said unto him, thou hast said. Basically, like, you are the one who is saying it. I don't even have to say it. You're saying it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So look, he's basically like, you know, he getting them with their own bullshit, you know. So that's why in the scriptures, he told us not to worry about what we're going to say in that time when we're being persecuted, because the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua is going to be on us in that time. Don't even think about what you're going to say. Don't prepare nothing on what you're going to say and none of that, because the Lord is going to put the words in our mouth on what we're going to say in that time and what we're not going to say in that time, right? Verse 64, Yahushua said unto him, thou hast said, nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power and coming in the clouds of heaven. That really made them mad then. That really made them mad right there. Then the high priest rent his clothes. He tore his clothes off, saying, he has spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy. What think ye? They answered and said, he is guilty of death. So because he said that, they was going to put him to death because of that. That's fulfilling the scriptures, because they were supposed to crucify him for being the Son of Man, basically. For being the son of Yahweh. And let me see. And then verse 67, it says, then did they spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands, saying, prophesy unto us, thou Hamashiach, who is he that smote thee? Basically, like, they hitting them and pushing and mushing them in the face and stuff. Like, who is the one who hitting you now? Who hitting you now? Prophesy, man, they wicked. And that's why they gonna get put to death. But this is part 2, y'all. I'm gonna move on to part 3.